Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio begins now. Hear the best in new music, artist interviews, stories from the road, and more. You are now backstage, and here's your host, Mothership.
Hey, everybody. Relent's full-length sophomore album, Heavy, came out October 1st, so I decided to catch up with Miggy to find out how things have been going since the album release and to get a rundown on the story behind each track. I hope you enjoy.
So, Miggy, this thing has finally happened.
It has. It's been a crazy week, I'll tell you that.
I bet. Well, we spoke here on Backstage with Mothership at the end of 2020, about October. At that time, I'd not seen you guys live. We never met.
Yeah.
And the album wasn't out, and you hadn't had banana pudding.
Yeah.
But a lot has happened since then, right?
Yep. It's been great.
All right. I've seen you guys 3 times now.
Uh-oh.
Saw you at Kingdom Come Festival.
Yeah.
Saw you at Impact 2021 in South Carolina. And then I saw you at Uprise in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So I'm having to travel all around the world to see you, man.
I owe you one, I promise.
We have to hit the South sometime or another. But anyway, and at Impact 2021, you finally received your banana pudding with gummy bears, as I promised you when you were on the show last.
That was delicious. That was that day I went all out for that gummy bear pudding. That was delicious. Oh, my gosh. Honestly, I think I had because you had those little cups. I probably had at least 5 cups.
Yeah, well, they were small helpings, But that was great that we finally got to see each other, and I've seen you guys perform, and gosh, you guys are amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Man, you guys bring everything you've got to a show.
Yeah, for me, if I'm not dying after the show, side stage or behind stage, I didn't do enough. So.
Yeah, well, laying down on the speakers afterwards with your wife fanning you, I figured you'd gone completely to your limit.
Yeah, that's how I try to make every show look like. That day was super hot, though. That sun was killing us that day. It was crazy.
That was a very hot day. But anyway, that was really exciting to finally get to hear you guys, see you guys, meet you guys, really get more of a feel for the band.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to get you on here because the new album was coming out. But before we get to that, you've had another change. Your bassist, Bruce, stepped down. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah,
so Bruce had joined Relent, I want to say it was the beginning of 2017, about a year after I had launched the band. We'll rewind. Since he's joined the band, honestly, we've been hitting it hard, constantly on the road, constantly doing what we can to tour and just get our name out there. And he's been a part of that whole process, and obviously, dealing with musicians, that requires a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time away from home, a lot of time away from work, most of us, a lot of time from everything else that you would consider normal, back at home life. And so for him, he's a very special dude, man. I'm going to miss him dearly, but he had multiple ministries he was a part of. He was a full-time teacher, so we were really touring off of his schedule. So spring, summer, and winter were our touring spots because that's when he was off from teaching. But then it finally got to a point to where we were touring kind of through the year too, and he couldn't make it or was having to take sick days to make some days, so we'd have a fill-in. And it caught up, And so ultimately, this last tour we had with Seventh-day Slumber, he did half the dates, and then he stepped down, came home to work, and then we had our new bass player, Brandon, fill in. So, Bruce he's a great dude, man, and there was no hard feelings with that. We all totally understood. It was actually kind of hard. The day we left for the next tour, we met with him finally, face to face, at 6 a.m, and and he just had tears in his eyes, and he was just kind of really heartfelt. It was a hard decision for him to make, but he had to make it for himself and for his family. And I said, I totally understand, man. But yeah, Bruce was great to have around, man. We're still buddies. But I think him stepping down, it honestly, I want to say it projected us to where we're going to next, because it caused, I guess, a good friction to happen to okay, what are we going to do now? And so it's opened a lot of doors. It's been really cool.
Your new bassist, is this touring bassist or full-time?
Brandon, I haven't made the announcement yet, but he'll be an official full-time member of Relent. He was just doing it as touring, and we were kind of testing the waters. Bruce has some pretty big shoes to fill. If you've seen us live, Bruce is he's crazy on stage. So and that was a big thing about Bruce is he had a lot of great stage presence. He brought a lot of things to the table concerning Relent. So I wanted someone that can obviously do that. Someone had a heart for the vision and can play. And so Brandon fit those shoes pretty well. So I'll be making that announcement here pretty soon.
Okay, good deal. All right. Well, you had some pretty good fill-in help, little GFM help.
Yeah, dude, Maggie killed it, man. What's funny is that we were just going to put it in the tracks and kind of get it over with. And when she asked, it was kind of like, I don't want to say she was nervous, but I didn't realize she was a fan of the band, right? And so it's like, no, like I could totally do it. And she did great. So it was cool. It was cool to have her.
Yeah, she really did. I was impressed. Well, now let's talk about the new release. It's the sophomore album for Relent. Heavy, out October 1st. I was in Germany, so I missed it. So even though we didn't have Loud and Proud, I still went and we did a booking team meeting and visited family and a couple of friends. Tell me what happened, because I wasn't here.
Oh man, this was a nerve-wracking release for me, at least, because it's a sophomore album, and I think naturally in the music industry, like the sophomore curse still exists of like, your first one is good, your second one's supposed to suck real bad, and then you carry on from there, you get better. So I was real nervous on what people were going to say, and not so much that would have affected my decision making. The music is the music. That's the way. What you hear is what we wanted to come out. But you're still, it's still in the back of your head, like, man, what if they don't like it? They're not gonna come to the shows. They're not gonna buy the album. But no, since day one of the release, it has been a phenomenal feedback that we've been getting. Literally, not one bad comment yet on just the variety that the album brings, the intensity, and which us feels great because our first album, Heart Attack, that album literally is 5 years old, even though to the world it's only 2 because we signed to Rockfest late 2019. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, we've had those songs in our pockets forever, toured off of that album forever. No one knew who we were at the time. So to them, it was new. To us, it was old. So to have Heavy out there now and actually have a fresh perspective of the band, where we're going musically, I guess where I'm going, as a lyricist, as a vocalist, what I'm trying to do. Now that that's out there, it feels good. It feels awesome to people to hear that.
And it's pretty heavy.
It's a little heavy.
Well, the pre-order deal was fantastic. I mean, you just got this whole package for under $30. I mean, that's over with, right?
That is over with. But I will say that the last couple of days, people have been still clicking that link, and they've been still going through. And the label hasn't told me anything, so I'm like, all right, well, I guess they're getting the package. So if people wanted to click it and the link works, dude, go order it. Because like you said, for $27, you got the shirt, you got the album, you get a lyric book, you get a poster, you get a bandana. Those things alone are,
Yeah, you can't even get the shirt for that half the time.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't. I think I made the joke. You can't even get a bucket of chicken at KFC for $27. I love KFC, by the way. No, yeah, it was definitely a great deal.
Give it a go, just in case it's still live when this airs.
Yeah. Go.
But otherwise, you still need to go get that album because I listened to every single track more than once. I love every single song on this album.
Thank you so much.
I love it.
You.
Backstage with Mothership returns after this. Out Performance Shop is a proud supporter of Solid Rock Radio. They specialize in retail and wholesale of automotive, high-performance, racing, and off-road products. They also carry a variety of accessories from remote control cars to rock and roller multi-carts. On the web at outperformance.com.
Let's go through the album track by track and get a little overview.
Yeah.
First song, Think You Got It.
It was a tricky one because I didn't know how people were going to respond to me, I guess, calling out what I feel needs to be called out. So Think You Got It is very much a call out song. Obviously, we're a Christian band, but I myself in my personal walk have experienced just things that honestly hurt me. They hurt my walk. They hurt my life. I saw them committed in a way that was so wicked by people in whom either have a title or people that I trusted that were an authority superior to me that I was submitted to. Unfortunately, had to walk through, things that were like, that's that's pretty twisted too, that you would do that. And so, and actually as an artist, I'm grateful that I have a platform to be able to express those feelings. But I was a little nervous on that one. It gets pretty brutal as far as lyrics go. But at the same time, I just want to be real at the end of the day. I don't think there's not enough of that, especially in the Christian industry, where it's just like, everyone's put on this, whatever you want to call it, this facade of Christian walk is good and it's great. And it is. But I want to talk about the real stuff, the stuff that really happens behind the scenes. And so for me, the You Got It was a real thing.
Yeah. You feel the message.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could just feel the honesty of it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Danger.
Yeah, so Danger was a last-minute track. Danger and Critical are both last-minute tracks. And I had the pleasure of working with Kellen McGregor from Memphis Mayfire on these tracks. They were actually recorded at his studio. He helped produce and write on them. Danger was a track that after the 7-day slumber tour, we got home. We actually got to Joseph Rojas' house, and we were going to chill out and have a barbecue for a couple of days. And he's like, yo, I know we wanted to release an EP, but I really feel we need to do a full length. Literally, I had like a week to record it. It was crazy. So I flew back out to Nashville, recorded with Kellen. But Danger's probably my second favorite track on the album. Just telling the story of, what it's like to struggle, what it's like to be in that position of like, man, I'm not getting this right at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know the goal is to be like an A+ Christian, but right now I'm like a D-. But obviously in me vocalizing that I'm in that position is a cry for help, and it's in hope that someone would come and rescue me, whether it be God or whether it be a friend. God uses people all the time. And I think a lot of times in my life, I've experienced where people come in to play and kind of rescue me out of that spot, that danger spot that I'm in, and kind of put me back in check. So, yeah, that's where that song came from.
Okay. Low. That song's gotten a lot of attention. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, for sure. Low was the kind of kickoff track that really began what you see now of Relent. It was that song that kind of stood out. It was the first song we released on Rockfest Records. So people were just finding about Relent, now had a taste of what we were about. And again, it's one of those songs. It's a dark song. It's a song about my struggle with depression. It's a song of me just being, honest and vulnerable. Naturally, I was kind of scared for that to be the people's first perspective of Relent. But like you said, it ended up being like the fire starter. We got a lot of radio play with Low. We got a lot of just attention, secular attention as well, obviously being on Sirius Octane and being in their hyper rotation. All those good things happened with this song. So Low is, that's a special song to us for sure.
A lot of people are pretty low right now, and it really resonated with people. I think it was a perfect time to release it.
Absolutely, yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah. Ghost. No, that one's fun.
That's a fun song. It's funny. I've heard more people say that they don't like that song out of every other song. And I think they just don't understand it, maybe. I think it's just that was me being edgy. And, that's just I always love pushing the agenda, not only when it comes to my lyrics, but the music as well. And shout out to our producers, Robbie and Richard, for pushing this song to be what it was. It was one of those songs that I couldn't wait to write, man. I was really stoked on it. We wrote it like literally in an hour type of thing. It was just one of those songs that just kind of rolled out. It felt good. It ended up being the standalone single for the album prior to us releasing the full length. That was the original go-to song. So we released that one first with the music video. But it tells a story about the ghost that we as believers submit to and his power, and the forgotten part of the Trinity is what some people have quoted it as. And I think we don't talk about him enough, but he's literally the driver of everything, at least for me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so I think we're in a time where spirituality is embraced, but I think in a wrong way, and I think in a negative way sometimes, or in a idolatrous way, it not being God. But for me, I think the Holy Ghost is a force to be reckoned with. If people would understand his power, we'd be a lot further along. Holy Ghost, that's it.
There you go. Last Days, another one of my favorites.
Last Days is about the last days. And like you said, we're just in such a critical time right now where you really take a look around. It's like, is this how it's all going to go down? Is this how it's going to end? It's just one of those things. It's a perspective song of like, you would stop and really look at what's really happening behind the scenes and not what the media shows you, or what they choose to show you, or what you choose to see. Last Days is one of those songs that, like, no, let's talk about what's really happening and what's really going down. And obviously, as a believer, like, we don't walk in fear of that. I'm going to call it for what it is. And so it was a fun song. It was a real fun song. Very aggressive.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, the next song, Heavy. Title track.
So this is the title track off the album. This is probably my favorite song on the album. It's a song that's very personal to me. It's a song that's very intimate, that I share much intimacy with, because it's about my wife. It's about my wife and her struggle and the things she had to walk through sexually as a young girl. That ultimately affected our marriage later on, and so it's one of those things. I didn't know the situation took place that the story tells. It's about her rape story, and it's the reason it's so intimate to me is because it's like God took me through this season of, like, having to walk my wife through healing, because we've been together 13 years. I just found out about this like 2 years ago, you know what I'm saying? But once I found out, it was one of those things of, like, dude, now all the areas that I questioned in our marriage, now they make sense. Why you're so closed off here, why you're so defensive here. And so it was a real heartfelt moment in a season that honestly we're still walking through. It's having me walk with her through that type of healing, which is rough for anyone that's been through any type of sexual trauma. Like, it's insane what they have to deal with mentally, emotionally. And so Heavy was a song dedicated to her and telling her story. I get so infatuated with my testimony, this rock and roll testimony, I guess you can call it, where it's like I was this stud, drug addict, alcoholic, got saved, which is great. Praise God. But I really feel like my wife's story needed to be heard, because, again, it's a topic that isn't discussed enough. But if you look behind the scenes, like what I'm talking about in Last Days, there's a lot happening with this topic as regards to rape, in regards to sex trafficking, in regards to anything of that nature. And so this is her story. Again, my favorite song on the album.
Wow.
It was a hard song to sing. I've gotten emotional, in recording before, but that song, you can ask the guys, like, man, I could not get a note out without, like, bawling. It was just really weird. God was literally, like, squeezing my heart on this one, and to make sure it sounded right. And then too, it was one of those songs, like, creatively was way out of the box of Relent. It has the typical, Relent chorus stuff, but it was very, like, with the auto-tune and more of the hip-hop side, but still on a more kind of, like, chill side. It was a weird thing to tackle, but it ultimately came out to be a great song. I feel it was one of my favorite songs that we've ever done.
Did you find it to be a healing song for you as well?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, it was. Now that I think about it, it really was kind of like I was getting healed from it, So I know that if people really embrace it the way I want them to, that I think God could do the same for them to this song.
Amen. What about the song Snakes?
It's one of those songs that it's just calling out what needs to be called out. The people that have stabbed me in the back, people that have weaseled their way into my life to simply start gossip or, whatever it may be. And these are stories about me, but I think relatably, these are things people walk through all the time, in or outside of the church. Whether you're not saved or a believer, or whether you are, you're going to experience this if you have not already. And it sucks. And they're real feelings and they're real actions that take place. And so I'm just thankful and grateful that I get to have a platform to talk about these things. But yeah, Snakes is definitely a I'm calling you out, homie type of song, because you busted.
Next song, Memories, a little bit different.
A little different. If I'm being honest, this is one song that was another song that was really hard to finish in the studio. I don't try to get over emotional or over spiritualize anything, but it's a song about a real close friend to Relent. His name was Robert. And he was an amazing dude. He was actually one of our first supporters ever as a band. Our very first show in 2016, Robert came out. The reason him being there was so important is because at the time of my transition and starting Relent, I was pretty much getting booted out of the church that I was at because I had this vision for Relent, and the church didn't support me. They didn't support the vision. They didn't support, what I felt in my heart to do. So it ended up kind of like an ugly transition. Well, Robert was one of those guys that in the midst of that transition, he was like, bro, like, forget those dudes. Like, just do it, man. If that's what God's put on your heart, just do it. I support you. I'll be there, whatever you need. And he was that guy who was just a familiar face at the shows in the midst of starting this and being so nervous and overwhelmed. And I just remember seeing Robert's face there. And it was just really, really calming to know that I had at least him there to support me, you know. But unfortunately, we lost him last year to a freak accident, and it broke our world, man. And if anyone loses a fan or a friend like that, it's devastating, you know. So it was a song that paid honor to him. He left behind a wife and 5 beautiful children. And it was just like, man, like, God, why? You know, so it's a song that really, you know, again, can relate the way Lo did, because I think we're in a time where people are losing people left and right, you know, and it's just one of those things that for us, it was out of honor for Robert and memories of what he did to make us feel adjusted to the times we were walking through. So I miss that dude deeply.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about Critical.
Critical, more of the uppy song, the kind of the victorious song. I don't care what people say. You're like, I know, just kind of having that chip on your shoulder of like, man, you can say what you want about me. I hate being that guy, but I do have a lot of that in my life naturally from both sides of the spectrum. For me being a believer and doing what I do, there's obviously still people that say things like Jesus can't be in rock music, or you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, the way you dress and you play in bars, you know, stuff like that. And then you get people that are on the worldly side are like, oh, you're too religious for us. Like you're too hyper, you're a cheese idiot, it's just you're too crazy about this message. And so I kind of feel like the redheaded stepchild. I'm just stuck in the middle. I'm too worldly for the church and I'm too holy for the world. So I'm kind of like, all right, no, I'll just stay here. But it's a song of one of those things that's like, you know, I'm going to do what I got to do. I know what I've been called to do, and I'm going to walk in that. And I've seen God move. People that are in my circle have seen God move in and bless this ministry and bless this band. So I know I'm in the right position, and it's a song that I'm going to keep on doing what I got to do. So
that dilemma seems to be pretty common among rock and metal musicians.
It is. It's a hard lifestyle thing. That it's what's funny because I came from the secular world, right? I was doing secular bands, this is like that, and being in the Christian realm now, I was like, it's not that far off. It's still pretty. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of, you know, he said, she said, pointing fingers. Everyone's in competition. I was like, it's all good. I'm ready.
All right, we got one more. Enemy.
Yeah, I think that ties in with Critical in a way of just losing people that I thought were there for me, you know, and I'm not that guy, again, that looks for drama or looks for that. If anything, you can ask anyone that is in my circle of friends, like, I'm the guy you want on your team. Like, I will go to the ends of the earth for my friends and family, you know, and I'll do whatever it takes. And so to lose people the way I did in the fashion that I did when it came down to, you know, church politics or, you know, whatever took place and them leaving, it hurt me. But I came to the realization that you never had my best interest from the get-go, you know, so, and that's okay. But as much as they are an enemy, like I'm biblically, I'm still commanded to pray for them and bless them. So Enemy's their song.
All right. So we've gone through the whole album.
Yeah.
Check us out on Facebook at I'm with Mothership.
Out of all of these songs, which is the most fun song to play live?
The most fun song to perform? Oof, that's tough. Because most of them we're bringing out this weekend for the first time. I would have to say Ghost. It just has that energy. And there's something in it for everybody. If you're a metalhead, you're going to get it. Because that opening riff is, you know, it just screams metal. And if you're there for the hip hop stuff, well, at the end, it's like, that's you, baby. That's your whole song at the end. You know, so I think Ghost is one of those things that, like, live has been really fun to play. And it's really fun to see people's reactions, especially for the end. Like, when it drops, people are like, what just happened? Like, where are we? So, yeah, I'm going to go with Ghost.
Okay. Well, it's pretty epic live for sure.
Thank you.
All of these songs you relate to as being part of your story, but which one do you own the most?
I'm going to have to go with Heavy. Yeah, as much as it is my wife's story, again, there's so much of me in there as well. And I think it's a perfect song to, I guess, depict maybe what I'm currently walking through. I feel a lot for people. So I have a lot of friends that are going through stuff that are similar, you know, that can relate to that song. So I'm going to stick with Heavy on that one.
So what kind of feedback have you gotten so far from the fans? Have you been getting a lot of messages or? Oh, man, like crazy, man. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, we have a group that with a thread with the label, and every day I'm sending them screenshots like, yo, check this out. And it's some
to the lines of like, yo, this album is perfect right now because I need this song. I need this song right now. It's helping me through a lot. And it's just one of those things that's like, yo, this is great. This is what, as an artist, this is what you want to do, Christian or not. You want your music to affect people in a way, you know. That's why we do it, to have the feedback we've been getting. This is mad real, and it's just super dope. Like I said, I mean, I still see us as the kind of like the babies of, I guess, the industry. We're so new, we're so fresh to it, but to see where our following is going and how fast it's growing has been like, this is scary. Like, you know,
scary good.
But yeah, the response has been phenomenal, honestly. Like, it's been crazy. There's really no words to describe it. It just feels so cool.
Nothing like confirmation, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a perfect word. You stole that out of my mouth. Confirmation to know that I'm right where I need to be and my music is doing exactly what it was intended to do. You know, when God had me started from the get-go, that's a cool thing to know.
You've got 3 videos. You got the Last Days and Ghost video, and then you've got the Low in Spanish video. All 3 really good. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, so first one we did was the Low in Spanish, and it was kind of a, obviously the whole band is full of Hispanic dudes. So it was kind of one of our, what? No way. And so it was a crossover song for us to kind of see what it would do, you know, in the Latin realm as far as it being sung in Spanish. So we had some good response to it. I don't think we probably pushed it enough. I maybe kind of regret that a little bit. But it's something I'm looking forward to dip back into. Shortly after that, we dropped Last Days, which was really cool. That was really kind of like the first video where people got to see Relent, not just what we looked like, but I guess, you know, for me, like if I'm watching a movie and I'm just hearing the audio, it's kind of hard to depict what they're trying to say. And I think for us, Last Days was a very convincing song just because you got to see that my emotions, the way we moved was kind of telling a story as well. So that was a fun video, a very hot video. I'll never forget that. It was in the middle of Missouri at this abandoned gas station. Joel Burris filmed that one, and he
I was going to say, if you were in Missouri, it had to have been Joel Burris.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to ask Joel. There has to be B-roll of like after every take was literally the way you saw me in South Carolina. That was every take because it was so humid. And obviously in the video, I have a ski mask on, I have a jacket, and like I felt it. Like, but you know, pain is beauty, right? Or whatever, beauty is pain. So we stuck it out. But yeah, then our most recent video, also done with Joel, was Ghost, and that was, again, I think that was the video that kind of set us apart. You know, all right, these guys aren't your typical Christian rock in the box type of thing. Like, not that we're trying to be, it's just who we are. You know, we've all grown up different lives and different upbringings. And so Ghost kind of represented that. You saw the raw edginess of Relent. And you also got to see musically where we were trying to go. So it was a fun video for sure. Again, shot in Missouri. Not so hot though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this earlier, so I'm going to bring it up. When you were at Uprise Fest, you were asked to do a second day after your first performance. That's unheard of.
Wild. You felt like a little kid in the candy store. I mean, obviously, that's one of the biggest festivals in regards to the Christian industry that's out there. So to be asked to play the first time was like, oh, this is amazing. You know, let's go kill it. Again, being new to the scene, I'm sure, you know, it's one of those things. All eyes are on us. They want to see what the new guys are doing. So to be able to play the first day, have an amazing time, an amazing reaction with the crowd, to later that night getting a text of like, hey, they want you back tomorrow. It was like, what? All right. Like, okay. And so, yeah, we were just so grateful to have that opportunity. Got to meet, you know, the founder and owner of the festival and hear from his mouth how much he enjoyed the set. It was like, dude, this is crazy. So super grateful for that festival. That was so much fun.
You were the opener on Friday, which they have never had a rock stage on Friday.
That's what I heard, yeah.
And we were desperately trying to get there, and I was a little late, missed a few songs. I could hear you in the distance, but I was so thrilled when I was going to get to hear the whole set the next day.
Oh, yeah. And next day was rough, man, because I got a severe, like, an allergy attack. We were playing the same time as Disciple was, so I was expecting, obviously, like, okay, there's not going to be anyone here. But no, man, people, like, stuck around, and we got through it. It was really cool to see. It was awesome. And
you still killed it, man.
Thank you so much.
Well, I didn't want to leave that out because I have never heard of a band being asked back for the second day before.
Yeah, that's what people were telling us. Like, no one's ever done that. I mean, granted, there was a band that dropped off, and so they needed a filler. But to ask, I mean, they could have asked anybody else, obviously, right? Like, we're just the new guys. Yeah, it was cool. It was a really cool experience.
That's awesome.
I'm hoping that opens the doors for this coming year as well.
Where do you get your stage clothes, and how do you pick them out?
So,
because you've got kind of a unique look when you're on the stage.
I do. I'm still working on it. It's not. I haven't capsized on it yet. But I love hip hop. I've grown up a hip hop head, hip hop R&B. So a lot of the rap artists that I grew up following, they had such like a dope look, and it was one of those things I was like, man, these guys look cool. They could be singing about French fries, but you didn't care because they looked so cool. The music videos were sick. A lot of my influence comes from that. And that's just since I was a kid. I have pictures of me wearing like oversized shirts, sideways hat, like just trying to find my niche because I was just so influenced by the hip hop game. But yeah, a lot of my ideas come from there, but I haven't really hit it the way I want to hit it yet. It's happening. So.
All right. You're not afraid to try something new.
Absolutely not. Unless it has to do with like cutting my hair. I'd probably be scared of that. Probably not.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Trim the dreads, but don't cut them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, when you were a kid, did you think you'd be doing something like this? Did you have in mind since you were young that you wanted to be on stage?
Yeah, this has honestly been my only dream. I mean, I love sports. I was involved in sports a lot, but I never really had a dream to be like a professional. I'm really good at sports. It never went there for me as a kid. But I've been around music my whole life, and it's just one of those things that's like absorbed my world. My father's a musician. My uncles are musicians. So they were kind of my two examples of like people I just looked up to as a kid. And so especially my dad, he's a rocker. He tours now. He's still a full-time musician, and he's done some great things in his career in his band. And so it was just one of those things like, man, I was born to do this, and I knew I was. But originally people would trip out. Like I said, I was a big hip-hop and R&B guy growing up. So, like, I didn't plan to be in a rock band. I wanted to sing for, like, Boyz II Men before I started getting into the rock stuff. I love that stuff. I love singing. I love, that style. That's really like my go-to style. And you got to hear it a little bit on the song Heavy too. So that's kind of cool. But I love that stuff. But yeah, definitely this is something I'm so grateful that I'm able to do because it's been a dream of mine since I was a little boy. So
that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with touring and where people can find you.
Yeah, so we're working on one now. We have, I think for the remainder of this year, as of right now, I think we only have 2 more shows. We have our album release show, which is in our hometown, San Antonio, Texas, October 9th.
So that will be after this already airs.
Yeah. And then October 30th, we're going to be in Oklahoma with Head from Korn and Love and Death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's going to be a real cool show. I think Spoken's on that, Zana, a whole bunch of great artists. It's going to be super cool. After that, we're currently working on touring off of this album. So I would like to get us on the road like in January is the goal. Just because it's really hard to tour around holiday time, Christmas and Thanksgiving. Yeah. So I think January 1, that should be a good time for us to hit the road again. So that'll be announced pretty soon. We're still working on all the details for that. It's going to come for sure.
Well, we've already talked about your favorite snacks, which we know are gummy bears. So we won't talk about snacks this time. But I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you taking some time out to kind of give me an update on what's going on. And I am so excited about this new album, and I can't wait to wear it out.
Thank you so much. Wear it out. Everyone wear it out, please.
That's right. And be sure to recommend it to your friends, too.
Yes.
And I hope to see you out on the road again. If I have to hunt you down, I will.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
All right, man. All right. Have a good night.
You too. Good seeing you, Cindy. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye. Thank you for listening tonight. Stay tuned for more great music all night long. Be sure to check out my I'm With Mothership Facebook page and Solid Rock Radio's website. Follow the link under shows to Backstage with Mothership, which will have the links to my guests' social media accounts. This show will be replayed at 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Past interviews available on podcast.solidrockradio.org, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on Pandora platforms. And remember this week, be kind to one another.